weeks, which hit the headlines by banning Christmas decorations, has now outlawed any mention of the World Cup.
That could be tricky, couldn't it? It's going to be everywhere within about 3 weeks.
Certainly could be tricky for you, couldn't it? Anyway, the Victory Pub in Walton-on-the-Naze has declared itself a football-free zone, and even anyone who's caught mentioning the word football is going to be invited to make a donation to charity.
From my point of view, we're trying to create an environment where it's completely football-free. We are targeting the World Cup widows, especially the widows of anybody who has been red-carded from the sofa during the whole of June and half of July.
Could make you very poor indeed, couldn't it?
Dear.
Terrible.
Bar humbug, as they say. Now, Michael Carroll, the former binman from Downham Market in Norfolk, who won more than £9 million on the National Lottery, says he wants his old job back. He hit the jackpot back in 2002 when he was 19 and was dubbed the Lotto Lout after a string of convictions and 2 spells in jail. His friends say most of the money's been spent, and Mr Carroll is once again applying for a job as a binman. Now, hundreds of mourners lined the streets of Cromer today to pay tribute to a special former lifeboat coxswain.
Richard Davies died earlier this month from a brain tumour. He was 65 and had worked on the lifeboat for nearly 40 years, winning several awards for bravery.
Well, today he was given a traditional lifeboat funeral at Cromer Church with a cortege of marching lifeboat crew and a horse-drawn hearse. Well, Malcolm Robertson was there for us and joins us now. Malcolm, a peaceful end by the looks of it to what was a very poignant day, I imagine.
Yes, Cromer's in very subdued mood. The lifeboat is an integral part of this town, and everyone in this town knew Richard Davies. Now, generations of his family had been involved with the lifeboat. He himself had been the coxswain for 25 years, and goodness knows how many times he would have run along the pier there to the lifeboat shed at the end. And his son, John, is the current coxswain. Cromer will miss that distinctive booming voice. Cromer has lost a character, and East Anglia has lost one too. Fittingly, Cromer provided its finest weather to honour one of its favourite sons. In warm sunshine and under a cloudless blue sky, family, friends and colleagues gathered to pay their respects to a giant of a man, a legendary figure in the town and one of the leading lights in the lifeboat service. Richard Davies was, for almost a quarter of a century, the coxswain of the Cromer boat. He died a fortnight ago today at the age of 65, having suffered a brain tumour. For generations, his family had been part of the Cromer lifeboat, and this afternoon they were joined by representatives from RNLI branches around the region and by those who worked closely with them and who came to recognise Richard Davies as the boss.
As that boat goes down the slipway, hits the water, he's in charge of the crew, no matter whether it's a calm day or a rough day. He is in control. He's not in control of the sea, but he's in control of that boat.
Hundreds turned out in Cromer to pay tribute to the service Richard Davies had given the town, both as a fisherman and as a lifeboatman. As the cortege passed through the streets, it paused briefly outside his family fish shop. Among the many mourners, his cousin Billy, who succeeded him as coxswain, and his own son John, who currently holds the post. The funeral service reflected Richard Davies's love of the sea. The huge turnout reflected the affection he was held in.
If you were in the room and Richard was in the room, you knew he was there. Terrific extrovert, very noisy, very ebullient, but very charming with it, and altogether just such a wonderful character with so many interests, but never did he not have time to think of other people and consider their thoughts and their interests.
The hour-long service was relayed to those who waited outside.
What would you call him? An icon, I suppose, to the town.
We're on the committee of the RNLI, Worcester RNLI, so it's a bit special, you know. So I feel very privileged to be here.
He was full of jokes and quips and that, and he was a smashing man. I liked him a lot.
Richard Davies had planned his own funeral service, and he would surely have laughed at the impromptu departure by some of the town's firefighters to deal with what eventually proved to be a false alarm just a few yards from the church. He was buried in the town he loved, a town that afforded him a great send-off. But it's not just Cromer that's lost one of its finest. East Anglia has lost a genuine, larger-than-life figure. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News, Cromer.
It was obviously a town that really loved him as well. Great to see so many people out on the streets remembering him today.
Huge impact, didn't it?
Yeah, huge.
Now then, 70 years ago next week, the British Army was on its knees. More than 300,000 soldiers were trapped on the beaches of Dunkirk, facing surrender or death at the hands of Hitler's army.
That was until an incredible rescue act that probably changed the outcome of the war. Those soldiers were saved from those beaches by an armada of little ships manned by fishermen, lifeboatmen and local sailors who faced a barrage of bombs and bullets to bring our boys home.
Incredible stories there. Well, next week we'll be in Dunkirk with a series of special reports, and we'd like to hear your stories as well. Were you or any of your relatives perhaps at Dunkirk? Well, if so, we'd love to hear from you. So please do email us. There it is. It's the usual address. It's Jonathan and Becky at itv.com. Please get in touch.
Yeah, we always love to hear your stories. Now, next, the parents of a 5-year-old from Cambridgeshire believe that she could be the youngest girl ever to achieve that ultimate golfing shot. Yes, we're talking about the hole-in-one.
We're talking about a lot of jealous people now watching. Eleanor Gamble from West Ratting was playing in a junior competition at the Cambridge Lakes par 3 course when it happened.
And now she's waiting to hear if she's made it into the record books. Stuart Leiths has been to meet her.
She's the latest up-and-coming golfer who's already achieved something many players only ever dream of. And Eleanor Gamble from West Ratting near Cambridge is only 5 years old. Back on the tee from which she hit a hole-in-one in a junior competition at the Cambridge Lakes par 3 course.
Me and my brother Jacob were playing in the Easter pairs, and I took my shot and I hit it so hard it went in the hole.
All of a sudden I saw or heard this massive cheer go up on the 6th tee, which is very close to the 4th tee, and then just suddenly turned around and watched David, which is Ellie's dad, pick Ellie up in the air, and obviously realised something special had happened. So wandered over there and found out that Ellie had got a hole-in-one, which is quite extraordinary at 5 years old to achieve this first ever hole-in-one.
Eleanor is only 3.5 feet tall, but she has been playing golf for 2 years, and Guinness World Records is now considering her family's claim that she could be the youngest female to hit a hole-in-one. The current holder of that record is aged 8.
Very unusual. I mean, as we've obviously seen on websites and such like, this is now officially a world record, so it's the first time a 5-year-old's ever got a hole-in-one. I've never heard of it in my lifetime of playing golf, so it's very unique.
So having heard all about the hole-in-one, I was wondering if she had any more tricks in her golfing bag. But for Eleanor, I think it was just a fairly average day on the course. Stuart Leiths, Anglia News, Cambridge.
We're pretty good for the rest of us. Well done,
Very
Eleanor.
clever indeed. It hasn't gone to her head, though, has it? She
No.
still wheels round her own.
Yes, she
her
does.
own
That's very good to see, isn't
stuff.
it? What does she do
Very
next
good.
then? Now she's got the hole-in-one. Keep playing.
Here's Alistair Stewart with what to expect on the national news in a couple of minutes.
Shocking developments.
Altitude training while we're at it, indeed. What a lovely day it's been.
It's been
Glorious
absolutely
out
gorgeous. A
there.
little bit muggy, though.
Yes, I know. You are a complainer, though, aren't you?
I am sorry.
It's going to carry on, I think. Here's Amanda with our latest.
Whatever the weather, enjoy it with Anglia.
Warm weather and lasting till the weekend as well.
What
Definitely
could be
going to have to
better?
get that summer wardrobe out.
See you tomorrow.
No cardies.
Bye.